Are you on a forklift?
Yeah, yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
Buongiorno Bianco Neri. It is game day. Let's go. Juve Samp. We're going to get you ready for it. I got Omer. I got Lucci with me. Everybody, I don't know if daylight savings time hits you as hard, but yeah, I'm feeling a bit off. It just doesn't feel quite right. Lucci, it's way different for you. You're 3 hours ahead of me still. So
I feel fantastic.
yeah.
Let's go.
There you go. There you go. Omar, always a pleasure.
Always
Andiamo ragazzi, Apex in here, Bob Yogasal, Anthony Scanga, Michael Raso, Ciao AJC and Juventini, 3 points incoming. I would hope so. We've got already some comments coming in here about Dushan. All right. Well, let's see what goes down. All right. We've got lineups. Romeo Gresti just putting out a probable lineup. We've got not a whole lot in news today or this morning necessarily. However, we've got news from the past couple days that is big, and everybody still keeps asking me about it. So we'll get to that, but we will talk first in previewing this matchup with Sampdoria, and then we'll get to all the news outlets. Everybody expecting Pogba, would have expected Pogba to start this one. It's looking more likely like he will not be starting in this. So again, that's all right. No problems. It's all good. It's all good.
A little surprising, but
yeah, I'd say it's a little bit surprising. We'll get to lineups and everything like that. We're going to kick things off, giving everybody those odds, those betting odds. All right. So Juve obviously favorited, heavy favorites in this one. Juve will pay 1.3 times your money. A draw will pay almost 5 times your money. And Sampdoria winning will pay almost 9 times your money. Do not take that bet, though, everybody. All right? Not based on what I'm expecting. So, Sampdoria, let's be serious here, guys. Bottom feeders have had a horrible season, okay? And if we want to talk about the first game until now, this is why I think it's kind of not right if people were to say that Juventus hasn't made progress this season. Because if you look at that lineup when we first played Sampdoria to now, man, the roles have changed completely. We played a 4-3-3 earlier on in that year. We had McKennie in the midfield there. It was Quadrado at right wing when we played Samp the first time. It just, the roles have altered completely, and we found much more balance in play and everything. So it's a much, much different Juventus side. And if we look at Sampdoria, on the other hand, Sampdoria has the lowest number of goals scored for any side in the top 5, scoring 11 goals so far. Okay. So, yeah, I've got some expectations at the back for Juventus as well, regardless of who went out there. Okay. We could have put the training staff out there, and I would expect most likely a clean sheet in this one. Yeah, they're going to be struggling, and they have no Adero. So Emilio Adero will not be in goal for Sampdoria either. All right. So it's this one set up for a victory, and then heading into Freiburg there. Their probable lineup, they're going to keep things the same with the 3-4-1-2. Ravaglia is going to go in Ned Zanoli, Nutink, Amioni, Leris, Winks, Rincon, Ogello, Gusans, Rodriguez, and Giabadini coming back for Sampdoria. All right. So that's roughly what to expect. Obviously, there's usually some changes from when you get these projected until the actual game. For Juventus, we know where we are. Lost the last Serie A match to Roma there, but getting the 1-0 versus Freiburg. This team, it's all about the same thing, and it's getting goals. We need to start scoring goals, boys. All right. Is today going to be the day, though? How you guys feeling? Without letting predictions out, are we going to get a bunch of goals today or what?
Wouldn't say a bunch. I think it's going to be a very tight 2-0 win.
Hey, man, without getting into predictions, are we just going to see a lot of goals? So tight 2-0 victory, but Omar says, yes, we're getting goals out of Juve today.
Look,
I would have to say
FIFA. I played them on FIFA. You know what was the score by the end? 6-5.
Oh my
6-5. That's how
Jesus.
realistic FIFA is.
So
Yeah,
we got Pitting set to start. Okay, everybody's been chomping at the bit to get this guy going as the number one, but we will see Pitting in action again. And again, this is one of the things that doesn't help the Pitting kind of the pitting crew for getting him to start whatnot. It's again going to be against a bottom feeder and whatnot. So the list of teams he's had to play against, but I always like seeing Omer and Anthony go at it when it comes to the keepers, pitting and tech. So, give him the gears tomorrow there, Omer. If pitting comes out clean sheet, even if you
always.
make one safe, I know we'll give him the gears.
Of course we will.
Projected lineup. We could talk about projected lineup first. We're going to get into some key stats. So, avoiding defeat on the night, we'll see Sampdoria go unbeaten versus Juventus over the course of a Serie A campaign for the first time since when?
I think it was 16, 17. They
No,
beat us when Icardi played there. Maybe it was even earlier.
unbeaten
earlier.
through the season. The last time. Unbeaten
2
through the
games.
season because we drew the first game, and then if they go undefeated in this one, the last time since 2012, 2013.
Oh,
That Sampdoria has would be gone undefeated, but that's not going to happen because we're going to
no.
kick their ass today, okay? A win for Juventus on the night. We'll see them win 8 straight Serie A games versus Sampdoria for the first time since. This one was kind of crazy. 1953.
Oh, Jesus.
I
was gonna say the 60s, but well,
because they went from 1947 to 53, winning 8 straight on them, and this will be the first time matching that. A loss tonight though would be the first time Juventus, consecutive losses, Serie A games for the third time under Allegri in his second term in Turin. So, back-to-back consecutive losses, third time in his second term, should that happen. Sampdoria, again, talked about it, 11 goals in Serie A this season. Juve haven't gone 2 straight Serie A games without scoring since what year?
oh,
2 Serie A games in a row without scoring.
Jeez.
I guess it's the Panther. I saw the stat not long ago, but I can't remember.
I'm going to say
2007.
I was going to say like 08.
Surprisingly enough, it's 2012. So the same time that we didn't get the job done on Sampdoria in at least one of those games was the same time that we've gone 2 straight Serie A games without scoring. So the numbers are in favor of Juve here. Everything's in favor. We got to get the job done. It's going to come down to possibly this projected lineup. Pedin in goal, Bremer, Bonucci, Danilo, De Sciglio, Fagioli, Barnechea, Rabiot, Kostic, Miretti, and Vlahovic. Guys, what do you think about that lineup? And Omer, why don't you... Okay, Lucci.
All right, I'll start. For the most part, I'm okay with it. I would have liked to see Sule get a start in this one. I think this would have been a good game for him to get some decent minutes. Me and Omer were speaking about this before. Fagioli's played a lot. I would have given him a good rest. But, I understand you want your best midfielders out there, hopefully get an early lead and, just kind of run away with this one, get some subs in the second half. But not really many surprises in this one. We got a lot of guys out injured anyways. But again, Pogba, I'm surprised he's not getting the start. We'll probably see him in the second half at some point. Other than that, let's roll. Let's go.
All right, Omar.
Yeah,
Lineup.
I don't think we'll get a better chance this season to try everyone, all the youngsters, and rest Chiesa, Di Maria, whoever we need to rest. I would have made a few changes, but minor things. Bonucci, Rugani, doesn't really matter. De Sciglio, Quadrado, same pile of shit. I don't really care. Poor Kostic, man.
Yeah.
I would have expected him to rest this game or play at least one half, and that's it.
Yeah, maybe we see Ealing Jr. if he's fit in the second half.
No strikers. I mean, Dusan is all alone.
Yeah.
He'll probably play 90 minutes.
Inter's next weekend, is it not?
What do you
Who?
guys?
Inter, yeah.
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 So
What do you guys think about this shout, Sule instead of Miretti?
I agree. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I would have done. Or I
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
put Moretti where Fagioli is, keep Fagioli on the bench to start, and Sule in that attacking midfielder spot. I agree.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
keeping
well,
the Freiburg return leg in mind, I totally did not expect Fagioli to start this one just to get him in that start there. I mean, he could probably still tackleable, but yeah, Kostic. Look, let's get the job done early and get these guys the rest. Pull some
yeah.
of these other guys in. DeShilio
Another,
and Illing Jr. both get back into the squad.
Yep.
And DeShilio ends up starting immediately. Illing Jr. probably going to come off the bench at some point. I would have to expect you got to get Kostic some rest out of this one. But yeah, and Shatter. So
talk
yeah,
about
exactly.
the
Shouldn't play
elephant
much
in the
more than a
room.
half. He has been a workhorse and whatnot, and I still see some conversations that don't involve him when we talk about surprise players of the season and even most consistent of the season.
Yeah.
He's definitely been very consistent. There's a couple stretches in either half of the season so far where some drop in performances and whatnot, but overall his work rate is incredible, and he's been exactly what we needed at him. He's been an assist machine, so been good
Yeah,
for us.
we've
Miretti
talked
today,
about it. We've talked about it, me and Lucci, and maybe I want to get the live chat opinion. He reminds us a lot of Lichtsteiner in the way he plays, the way he approaches the game, like a workhorse with great attacking ability. Maybe Lichtsteiner was better defensively, but what do you think? Do you see similarities, or
yeah, I
we
see
just grab
similarities
it?
in terms of how hard nosed he is, right?
Yes.
Like he just
Yeah.
plays that gritty style, and he gets in people's faces, and he doesn't take shit from anybody. That's for sure. You could see it.
You need those guys. You need those types of players, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, if he goes down, like what a contrast. Not to say that you don't need some of what Quadrado does in certain moments and but what a contrast when you got a guy that will fight through everything to a guy that goes down at the first thing and might take away from some more opportunities, right? It's just a big contrast. And that's just a preference thing on whatever players. And like I said, there's a time and place. And Quadrado made a living for a lot of his career out of knowing exactly when to do that, right? To play that kind of art in the game. But I love that hard-nosed style. And it does remind me of Lichtsteiner in terms of
I
how
I
hard-nosed he is.
I remember one referee from Italy. I don't remember who it is, but he said that Lichtsteiner was the most unpleasant player he ever met, and I was psyched. I loved it. That was awesome. I
Man, when
wish
you
everyone
talk
could
about
that.
Lichtsteiner, it's like automatically goes to that game against Celtic when I believe it was him and Brown that were getting into it over and over and over. And Lichtsteiner would just like you could just see veins coming out of Brown's temple there, like he was just driving him nuts. And I was like, that's beautiful. That is just beautiful right there. Lichtsteiner was a beauty. We're gonna get to news and Luis loving how Max keeps reference the 50 points. Hey. It's true. It's true. We have that many points. We should also have a couple more on top of that after the VAR Salernitana debacle.
Fair point.
But that's just great stuff. And then we'll get to the news about this hidden document and everything, and that should provide a boost for these players as well. But we're going to keep it in line with the lineups right now and just talking about this. Looking forward to seeing Fagioli and Miretti in the two-man pivot. I don't think it's going to be those two actually pivoting. I would probably anticipate Rabiot if they do a two-man pivot. However, it's tough to say. Fagioli and Miretti have also been one lineup sheet saw them two just behind Vlahovic and a little bit higher up, but Barnechea, Rabiot held back. It's anybody's guess exactly how it's going to play out, but for me, Miretti, it's the one thing with him. And when people talk about his struggles and everything like that, and I like people were just losing it on me for saying that I think he could do good with a loan next season, potentially, depending how our roster shapes up and what happens. But there's a noticeable difference, and I want to get your thoughts on Miretti when he plays in that advanced role and when he plays as a Mitsala. I see him as a Mitsala. and a little bit further. He just looks the most comfortable when he has that extra bit of space and can kind of drive into the play rather than be higher up and then have to work from there. That's just something I noticed and some I believe. Do you guys agree with me, or do you think he suits more that advanced role?
Go ahead, Omer.
I think he's more suited to the advanced role. I think we're asking maybe too much from him when he plays in that advanced role. Maybe expecting him to be sort of a Di Maria and spraying balls in over the top on the ground. I don't think he's there yet. But I've said it before, when the young guys play together, they seem to have more chemistry and more understanding because they have played together through the youth ranks. I'm interested about Fagioli though. He's better. I mean, for Cremonese, he played in a more advanced role, more close to the area. Maybe that we'll see today his best position, where he's most functional. And also eyes on Rabiot. With Lucatelli out and he's surrounded by three kids, Paredes obviously benched, he'll have to take the reins and be like the leader in the midfield. So I'm gonna be keeping eyes on that too.
Yeah, and that's a good shout too, because Rabiot's going to be key for this one with the young guys all around him and everything. And yeah, we'll see probably a different style out of Rabiot. I would expect him to be the one doing a lot of the grunt work and hanging back. But Barnechea, he surprised me in that game that he played when once he got comfortable, because the start was a little rocky, but especially going into the later minutes before he got subbed off. He was making some nice defensively smart and aware plays back there. In terms of Miretti, if I'm looking at these guys in the advanced roles, there's a significant difference when you see a guy like Sule up there versus Miretti and Sule. Like, Miretti's got a couple things in his game where I don't know about that advanced role. I think coming from a bit deeper, having a little bit more time. When you look at Sule, it's night and day. And that's a guy that's like, okay, this is an advanced attacking player versus Miretti, who I think is still, I don't know, on the fence. Like, he's great. Miretti's great on the buildup and the quick one too, and getting us into those attacking moments and scenarios down deep. But for whatever reason, final third, it's a lot of question, and it could just be a confidence thing, but there's a lot of decision making that isn't where it needs to be. And I don't know if it's because the time disappears from him, because it's definitely not technical ability. He's really, really strong, but it's just that decision making once that time is cut. But we will see. We'll see.
Just to add on to that, first of all, I don't know what Alex P is talking Moretti, the Italian McKennie. Let's nip that one right there. He's not that bad, nearly not that bad. Also, I believe in Max's press conference the other day, he said he sees Fagioli more as a regista and Moretti more as of a attacking midfielder, but he's more comfortable as a mezzala, which makes a lot of sense when you see it on the pitch. So listen, I'm fine with him playing more of a mezzala role. I think for the time being, he's more comfortable there. And then this is why I would say like that attacking position is more to Sule's position, more to his attributes. So I'm surprised he's not getting that start today.
I would like to see both Sule and Barrenechea play together. I don't know if anyone watched it, but Juve posted on YouTube a video of like 20 minutes, I think a year ago, about those two guys and how they got together from Argentina to Italy and became each other's families. And Sule's family almost like adopted Barrenechea and took him under their wing. So it's a very interesting one. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a great recap of the two and seeing their way through the ranks at Juve. So I would like to see them get to play together for the senior team on the same pitch today. But there's the question mark of Pogba and Paredes and how they'll be integrated.
I could see them coming on in this, both of them coming on in the second half.
Yeah, I think both of them. But I want to see a couple of minutes of Sule and Barrenechea together.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, we're not going to get to predictions just yet, okay? We're going to talk about some of the news going on there. We'll have some fun, some Storm the Barn and whatnot. We'll get to predictions in a little bit for this one. But, I mean, come on, everybody. I think you know where the predictions are going to go. We're talking about a Sampdoria side that's only won 2 games this season, has only scored 11 goals, has allowed 39, has conceded 39. I mean, that's third highest, I think, in the league. So,
yikes.
I think everybody knows where these predictions are going to go, but maybe we'll have some fun off the cuff kind of predictions and see what we can do there. We're going to get to some of the news. Obviously, the big one is that the FIGC's appeal has been rejected in terms of wanting to go against TAR's ruling, which was to give Juventus the documents they have been waiting for, based on how hard Cine and FIGC were fighting to keep those papers away from Juventus. You would have to assume that is exactly, in fact, what Juve thought those documents would be, which is obviously discourse between Kovacic and FIGC about the investigations, time-stamped in a time frame that would make this outside the legal time frame allotted for this thing and make it null and void. However, the news today suggests that Juventus is going to be looking for more documents. But the details on what other documents Juventus is after hasn't necessarily come back. But confidence continues to grow that those 15 points have come back, that are going to be coming back. And I think everybody should feel that way. I've been feeling that way for a long time. And I don't think this one, the more it goes on, the more we see Juve continues to just gain momentum on this thing. It should be done. However, that doesn't mean that everything's over, because the salary case is still its own kind of baby and whatnot. But man, this thing is just it's just wild to me, and so different in Italy how things go down. And you look at some of these issues and investigations and stuff that happen elsewhere and what's going down. It's just wild throughout this period for Juventus. Napoli, Lazio, and another club went through an investigation, went through court hearings and stuff, and like, you didn't hear a single thing about it other until the day that it was announced that they're clear of whatever they were facing, and that's just wild. But Omer, go ahead.
Yeah, I have some hot news right now. The official roster for the match is out.
Beautiful.
No Pogba on the bench.
No
On
Pogba.
the bench.
No.
Wow.
So this is interesting because with Pogba not getting start there, and if we go back to the disciplinary reasons, there was a theory going around that Juve planted the disciplinary reasons because maybe, just maybe, he's having issues again.
It's looking that way, isn't it?
Yeah. So no details other than that, I assume, Omer, right now, just the fact that he's off the squad list.
Yeah, all the attackers we have are Vlahovic, Sule, and Ealing. The rest is pretty standard. Okay. Compagnon is called up, so he might get some minutes.
According to Luca, Pogba had an issue and isn't being called up.
Yeah.
Yikes. This guy, man.
This guy can't get this is it's wild now. It's wild now. I mean, man,
Jeez.
This is crazy. It's crazy. I don't even, you have nothing really to say. Like, there's nothing you can really say.
Oh, no Ildiz.
What's that?
No Ildiz. But yeah, there's what can we say? I mean, I don't know what to think about it anymore.
I mean, it's frustrating.
We've done relatively well so far without him. Relatively well. So maybe he's not instrumental to this season anyway.
He would be a big help, though. Like, we got no one on the bench now. We got no depth.
No,
we don't trust Paredes for sure. Anthony is right. My agenda will cook after this podcast. I will be putting out a tweet for sure. But listen, just because it looks good on my agenda, like, I'm still frustrated about it because we want to see him out there.
Keeping everything, and just like level-headed before the emotions just get out that, we're screwed, like he screwed us and all this and the money is like, just keeping things in line. Again, I've been painting this picture about what Giovanni Andreini has been doing since he's come aboard to take over the whole fitness thing and whatnot and all that. And maybe, just maybe, like I said, the theories were there. The theories were there that potentially maybe it wasn't disciplinary. Maybe he's having issues and Juve just didn't want to fuel that anymore. But there's also the possibility that, yes, it was disciplinary. And you know what? Giovanni Andreini has been slow going with all our guys in terms of getting them back in the lineup. And maybe they're just taking absolutely zero chances. We knew Chiesa's got discomfort. He's held out and whatnot. Like, all our players in general have been held back. And he's not the only guy we've seen when it's come in and then all of a sudden's out. There's been training sessions on guys that weren't on injury reports that were doing personal individual training this year. And that's happened quite a bit. And we haven't seen that before because Juve, we've always talked about this. If you've heard about Juve's training methods, their styles and everything, they have this set kilometers or set whatever amount of distance, miles, whatever you want to count it. They have this set distance that they want these players to hit, right? And game days didn't change that and everything. However, throughout this season, after Giovanni Andreini ended up taking over, you've seen that kind of go away. And there's been guys that have not been on injury reports that the next day it's like, okay, no, we're going to take it easy with this guy. You're going to go to the gym today. So maybe, just maybe, it's a sign of just what Andreini's pushing for and what he's doing, and a combination of Pogba just being discomfort and Andreini absolutely taking zero chances. That is a possibility too.
Too bad we gave him the number 10. That's my main thing. It really is a bad look on a historic shirt.
It's a bad look, no doubt. It's a bad look, no doubt. But again,
by the way, it's a muscular problem from this morning training, so that's why he's out.
Maybe he's just finished. Maybe he just can't stay. Like, we know the talent's there. Maybe
that is a possibility.
Maybe
too.
He just can't stay fit, man. Maybe it's just.
We've seen it with other footballers and other athletes in different sports that sometimes your body crumbles and you can't hold it for too long. And maybe that's what's happening to Pogba after very intense years in the Premier League and the Euros and the World Cup in 2018. It happened. My latest example would be Alexis Sanchez, a phenomenal player, Copa America, World Cup, Arsenal, Man United, and his body just gave up. I think that might be what's happening to Pogba right now.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, that's a frustrating one. That's a really frustrating one.
Sorry to ruin your day. I mean, we had a fun.
We knew he wasn't going to start anyways. It's just more so like it would have been nice to have him on Thursday if we needed him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's go to something more positive.
So let's get back to these points thing. That's what we were in the middle of before the Pogba thing and whatnot. But we've been confident for a while. I know I've been confident for a while that those original points are coming back. It's not out of the woodworks yet. Obviously, still a long way to go. But great news there. Di Maria renewal. I want to get your guys' thoughts on the Di Maria renewal. I mean, that should be a no-brainer. But there are some that DM me that say, I don't want to see Di Maria renewed, even if they get a little bit of a break on the salary and be somewhere around 6 million or whatnot.
Interesting.
Can you guys? I can't make an argument at this moment in time for Di Maria to not necessarily be renewed if he's willing to stay. Like, I think that's a harder one to make. He has been absolutely crucial for us and essentially reinvigorated himself after the World Cup victory and whatnot. I don't know. Before that, you could maybe have more of a balanced argument, but coming out of that World Cup and how he's been for us, if he can keep that up for the rest of the season, I mean, and he wanted to stay, I think you'd fight a really uphill battle to try and say not to keep him around.
I have one reason why we wouldn't keep him, and it's completely hypothetical. If he forces you to keep Paredes with him, I'm not re-signing him.
Don't go there. That was my conspiracy theory that we signed him because And that was the deal with Paredes. It's a conspiracy theory. I have no ground to stand on.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's why we got dragged out to the end of the Mercato and had to give up Rovella and Zakaria in order to sign because we promised whatever, man. But yeah, there are no reasons. I remember people saying back in 2012 that 2011 that we shouldn't have signed Pirlo. He's washed. And Milan didn't even renew him. They don't want him anymore. I mean, when you make those assumptions on world-class players, you gotta be careful. They can always contribute. They always have something to give. And considering we don't have money to sign a world-class winger,
yeah,
and the youngsters haven't really made themselves, that you can trust them to be the leading guys next season, it's a no-brainer. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And will be more money with the growth decree in Italy. So, I mean, all the reasons are there to re-sign him.
Radi, joining us late. I see the news is out. Pogba he's not on the squad list. Muscular issue. So sorry to burst the bubble there, my friend. Yeah, so if Paredes is a part of that Di Maria thing, that would be enough to make me say, okay, no.
Like why?
It just can't happen, anyway. But that won't be the case.
Because we can't waste money on Paredes. We gotta spend it elsewhere. The guy's finished, man.
Yeah. So the young guys, this is tying into this too, because we know that in the summer we ended up seeing Rovella get sent away, and then obviously Paredes was the guy Max handpicked, Max wanted. Now, here's the thing. The latest report, and we take everything with a grain of salt, but we also love the hypotheticals. So Rovella, Ranocchia, and Hans Nicolucci Caviglia. And Alex P. and I have had a great conversation on young players. These three in particular, he and I do not see eye to eye on what we think about Rovella.
Yeah, he doesn't like him, eh?
So it's not that he doesn't like him. He's not seeing what I'm seeing in terms of potential and whatnot. And when it comes to Hans Nicolucci Caviglia, he sees a lot more than I've seen so far and whatnot. So we're just on opposite ends right now. But again, it's a good problem to have. And we could both agree that we have so much young talent. We know we're not going to be able to keep all of these kids.
Yep.
Like, it's just not going to happen. Some are going to be dealt. The report was obviously number one from Gazzetta. So again, you take it with a grain of salt, especially. However, you've got all three of them coming back in the summer. We know that they're coming back in the summer. They're going to go through camp and whatnot, and then we're going to see what happens. However, it also stated to not be surprised to see any of these three sold or whatnot. So my question to you guys is, you have to integrate one, okay? You have to sell one, and the other can, go out on loan or whatnot. But, out of those three, how are you working?
Bench one, sell one?
Kind of, yeah.
Same idea, but you got to sell essentially one out of those three, and you can integrate one out of those three immediately.
Okay, I think I know. I have my answer. Obviously, Rovella, I believe, will all say the same. I would keep Ranocchia. From what I've seen at Monza, he's better. I would sell Nicolucci.
Wow.
Interesting.
And now, for the record, I don't want to sell any of these three. Okay. And here we go, Alex P. right on cue. An early store in the barn question. Who are we selling in the summer? Oh man, Ranocchia is he
hasn't played though.
He's got a lot of clubs already interested in stuff, whatnot around Italy and everything. It sucks to have to give up on any of these guys. Rovella's injuries kind of concern me though, I will say. Like, he seems to get these injuries quite a bit. And I think he's hurt again right now, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. When he plays, though, man, I see a lot in Rovella and whatnot. The fear here is that, and they tied this into the report too, and we know it to be true, and that's that Allegri likes a robust midfielder. And that's what seemingly saw Rovella leave for Paredes, because he likes a more physical, a more robust. But the counter argument to that is the fact that what he's doing with Miretti and Fagioli and whatnot, they're not robust midfielders and everything. Rovella
I think-
can play 2-man pivot and whatnot. And is this, for me, out of these three, Ranocchia's, I think he could be so good. Hans Nico Lucy Cavilla is not far from being effective. I think recency biased. If you watch that Hans performance against Juve when we played him was bad. Rovella when he plays against us has been strong.
Dominates.
Like Rovella for me is in the lineup. Rovella's in the lineup for me next.
Yeah.
Gun to my head, I sell Hans.
Oh.
Gun to my head, I sell Hans.
His career has been less consistent than Ranocchia's so far.
Well, he had a big injury though.
He had a big injury though, and he's come back pretty strong.
So
yeah, and he's at that dumpster fire that is Salernitana. I mean, he had 4 different managers this season.
He went in January though. He was somewhere else.
Salernitana, but he was I don't remember where, but he was somewhere else.
Yes.
So that's another manager. So not through his fault, his growth has declined, stopped because of all this managerial changes.
I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball in there because I'm going to throw Moretti in there. I would keep Hans on the bench to replace Moretti, send Moretti on loan, sell Ranocchia.
You'd sell Ranocchia, eh? Wow.
Yeah. I don't.
It's
a tough one. It is, but if he was that good,
like the chat seems to be like easy sell Hans there, easy sell. I don't think it's an easy call. I don't think it's an easy call.
He's playing consistently. Ranocchia is not, and that's a little bit of a concern.
Because we're not factoring something in. I mean, the price will be big. If we have to sell someone, I mean, if you put Ranocchia on the market and he's worth 25 million and Nicolucci worth 10 million, so I would sell Ranocchia. That's the question of value.
I would think they're more or less worth the same.
Value. I think Ranocchia has more value right now.
Yeah. The Moretti loan thing, man. People are on me for that one, but I tell you, if he doesn't make a change and it looks
I'm with you.
a lot different from here on to the end of the season, I think he needs to get a loan in Serie A and get some serious minutes because it's just, we know what he's capable of because everybody's seen it. Everybody heard about it. Everybody was keeping tabs at Next Gen there. But if it's not translating, you can't just keep going to the well because eventually what's going to happen is he's going to get so frustrated. He's going to lose that ability in himself, that belief in himself. Get him somewhere where the expectations aren't so critical. I don't believe in this. So let's get to this question about Moretti. So the counter to me, when I say that I believe he needs a loan, the counter is that would be going backwards for him. Okay, so a lot of fans see this move as when you've already been with the club for a season, it's automatically like a failure in this player's mind to take him and say, you know what, we want to send you here. You're going to go out for a loan, and that's too detrimental for these guys to break through. What do you guys feel when you hear that argument for those that say Moretti needs to go on a loan next season?
I mean, go ahead, Omer.
I agree. I think he needs to go on a loan. We've talked about it recently that I think he's not been utilized well because Allegri has some issues in developing young attacking talent, and what we expect from Moretti is contribute more in attack. So maybe he falls in line with Chiesa and Vlahovic and Kulusevski and all the guys who, I don't want to say failed, but didn't reach their ceiling yet.
Yeah.
In attacking sense. Maybe Moretti is one of those guys as well. So a season with a different coach might...
I want to be clear here. It's not about getting minutes. It's the fact that his game is not translating for us. And a player like Moretti that is known to get involved and whatnot has only 1 goal contribution and a lot of errors in and around the area for Juventus, and the execution isn't there. You can read the frustration all over his face in those moments and what happens. He's got a lot... I think he puts a lot on himself too to kind of contribute, and it's not happening. Omer, the question, the counter argument, is it detrimental to the player that has been around for a season at Juventus to then take him and go out on loan?
No.
Anthony said it perfectly here. Fagioli and Rovella disprove that theory. Fagioli had a great season at, where was he, Cremonese last year? Came back, look at him now. He's a lot more mature. He's getting minutes. You can tell his game's developed a little bit. He's taking that next step. So I think
so important.
The same thing could happen for Moretti, you know?
It's so
Consistent
important
minutes.
for these young guys to play consistently.
Yeah.
Even if it's not at a top level, it's still super important. And he won't be the first one. I mean, he's 19 years old. What are we missing here?
Yep.
Get him back when he's 21.
Yeah. So Aldo to Aldo's is Moretti is 19 years old. He's getting minutes for Juve at 19. He's not making mistakes and not letting the team down. He just needs confidence, which a goal would do. The problem is he's had great scenarios to get that, and it's not coming. If he finishes off the season, and again, a goal, I think that once he gets that goal, it could kind of get that monkey off his back, but you don't know that for sure. And the thing is, yes, he's 19 years old. He's getting minutes at Juve. But again, if you look at in the summer, the guys are coming back. Rovella, for me, changes things drastically in the midfield and what we could do. If we get fullbacks, you can go into a 4-2-3-1 easier.
Yeah.
Because Luca is a two-man pivot midfielder. He is a two-man pivot midfielder.
So, Al,
4-3-3 helps Fagioli be a little more advanced too with those guys around. Like he's 19. He ain't going anywhere. I'm not saying sell him, but hey, minutes at Juve are also a lot more taxing than they are somewhere else to develop your game and have it translate into Serie A. I agree with everybody. A goal would go a long way for Moretti. But you know what? It might be easier for him to get some of those goals and boost his confidence in this league somewhere else, and then come to us when he's ready and comfortable.
And maybe those young guys, I mean, making the jump from playing as a youngster for a U23 team to playing at top level, a game every 3 days, that's a big jump. Not everyone is up to it. So maybe he needs to play at the top level, but not in Europe also, in the Coppa Italia, so he can, find a way and work with a manager who knows how to develop youngsters. So I don't know, loan him to Sassuolo or something, and you suddenly see him peak for a small team, and then it will be a good time to bring him back.
So now, like, thinking about this, if Berenchea is getting minutes now, does that mean Rovella's expendable?
Potentially.
Similar type of player, I think.
I think Barnechea fits that more stout kind of profile for Max.
So that's why I'm wondering, maybe Max doesn't like Rovella that much.
It could be a possibility.
So maybe we see him leave.
But I think it's a bad assumption on Max's part.
I would agree.
I mean, he's the one who let Pirlo go to Juve.
Yes, back in the day, he thought he was done. Yes.
I'm just familiar. Just stirring the pot a bit.
The tides for Juventus too.
Turn the league on its head.
Can be said, Max has always been a Juventino after sending us Pirlo like that on a platter. So can be said. The young guys, like I said, hey, everybody's going to have their preference. Everybody's going to have their ideas of what's more beneficial and what isn't. But the one thing that I think we can all agree on is that this is a good problem, a very, very good problem for Juventus to have when you have a talent pool like that. And, you're asking yourself, man, who do we keep around, who we let go and whatnot based on talent. So again, it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Frattesi going to Roma. Well, there's some interesting rumblings that all is not necessarily well in Roma there. And there was potentially a botched deal. I was talking to somebody yesterday and whatnot, and Frattesi's not done and dusted just yet. Everybody, there's a lot of interesting rumblings. We might have to do a show sometime just about the crazy rumblings that I hear and whatnot, and just talk about these wild things. But Frattesi, not done and dusted just yet. That's all I'm going to say. Everybody, the new kits, before we get to predictions and stuff like that, and then storm the barn. These new kits, everybody's thought on these things. I'll try and bring them up real quick too and whatnot. But guys, what do you think? What do you
If you
think
want
so
me-
far? What's your gut reaction to these?
You want me to send them to you on
No,
WhatsApp?
I've got them. I'm just asking you guys' opinion right now on these bad boys while I pull them up.
Horrible.
I don't think they're that bad.
Horrible.
I think they're horrible. I mean,
Really?
it's so simple. What do we want? Stripes, black and white.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
What? It's the basic colors. It's the most basic shirt
I
in
like
football
the-
history.
Is it the away one with the pink in it?
That's a sick shirt.
I like that
The
one.
away one is a killer shirt.
It's the
The
away
away
one, right?
one is
Okay.
deadly.
Yes. Okay. The home one is. It's okay. It's okay.
Well,
I don't know. I get the idea. The thought was, more similar to zebra lines. And that
okay.
was the explanation. But still, I mean, stop with the crazy shirts. All we want is black and white stripes. That's it. Nothing more.
so the thing that's getting everybody fired up, obviously, is the fact that these things are like zebra. These stripes are like zebra fur there or whatnot, but like, I don't know. Like, it doesn't bother me that much. First off, people are saying, it's got piss yellow mix in there, whatnot. First of all, drink some water, if that's the case, because it should not be like that. Okay, but unless you're enjoying some beverages with some friends or whatnot,
Well,
potentially.
Just at Lorenzo next time.
But I've always loved yellow highlights with our kits there and whatnot. I don't mind them like to the point where it's just the stripes. It seems a little bit much for me. Let's see if we can get it in here and whatnot, and finally give these guys a little bit of a visual here. So I don't mind the yellow whatsoever. Okay, and I've always liked when we've had yellow highlights and whatnot. The stripes originally and the photos I saw originally of them, these kits, they didn't look so dramatic in terms of, you could tell they were off a bit, but not to this extent, right?
I think the yellow on the Jeep is exaggerated. I think it makes it seem a bit too yellow.
It's going to have the same electric, the lightning stuff on the Jeep. The collar is not exactly the same. The collar is going to be a little bit lower. It's going to come down a little bit. But this is essentially it. It's not that bad. I gave it a 4 out of 10. I mean, nothing will ever surpass the half and half kit for me for being the worst.
Oh, that was the worst. And that pink line in the middle. Come on.
Yeah, so like, this is not terrible, but
I mean, I think it'll look a little different in person when we see the actual kit. Like, I'd buy it. I don't think it's that bad.
the back, I
Yeah.
like the fact that we're going back to the black
Yeah.
for the back, for the numbers, names and numbers and whatever. So I do actually like that, but it's not awful.
I like the other one better, but this one's I think people are exaggerating. It's not nearly that bad.
I think it's bad, but I don't think that's the final product, and that's what
Exactly.
exactly what we're going to get. So, jury's still out on the kits.
That is like it for design. The kit itself is different. The collar
Yeah.
is different, but that is what you'll see.
So
And like I said,
don't
the
like
only
it that
change is
much.
Jeep logo is going to have the electricity through it and the lightning and whatnot. But that's essentially it, man. The collar drops down a bit. And it'll have yellow stripes down the seams at the side.
All the way down the sleeve.
No, not the sleeve, the seam down the side.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always say that shirts are, you love them in regards to the memories they give you, even if they're horrible shirts. If the season was good, you remember them fondly.
True.
And so we'll wait till the end of next season to decide if these shirts are good.
Let's
or
be
not.
serious. People are still gonna buy it. Like,
Oh, I'm going to buy it.
100%.
I'm not going to buy it.
Whether we
The
argue
away
if it's
one
ugly
is
or
sick,
not,
though. I really like the away kit. The
Yeah,
It
away
wouldn't be
kit
my
is
first ugly shirt in my
I would
closet.
definitely buy the away one first, to be honest.
Yeah.
the away one's sweet. Wow, it's-
Byron-esque.
But if you did this kit, like this exact design, and those stripes were clean, I think it'd be deadly, like absolutely deadly, just clean stripes. And this kit, that color scheme, everything would be deadly.
I'm in the minority here, but I actually don't mind the yellow. Like
I don't mind the yellow at all. I've always liked when our kits have had a bit of yellow on there, and like, I don't know, I don't mind it at all. Plus, it's the AJC colors. Come on, everybody. Juve finally realizing what's up. Let's go.
They know what's good.
Go. All right, everybody. Now, let's get into this.
We need to get back to the letter from that we got. We didn't finish on that.
Well, there's not a whole bunch to say other than they got what they wanted. It should prove, and you would have to think, based on how hard Chine and the FIGC prosecution held back on this thing, that it is what in fact Juve believes it to be. But what do you want to say on it, Omer? What do you think?
From what I read this morning, I mean, they're just take it as it is. Juve got some sort of paper that they wanted, and that's about it. The newspapers are conflicting reports. Since this morning, La Stampa said it's not good for Juve. Gazzetta said it's that. Tuttosport said just an entirely different thing. So no one really knows. I believe most of them are just guessing what it means. And just take it as it is. Juve got some sort of paper that Kine didn't want them to have. And that's where it stands. Let's wait and see how it develops.
I don't think they got what they wanted. I don't think they got what they wanted based on the report. And that could be games. That could be games coming from the prosecution, though, because maybe they purposely didn't send what they were supposed to or what they need, and that's why Juve's asking for more documents. This thing is far from over and whatnot, but
I think
Juventus is led to believe that there's obviously a correspondence between Kovisocha and FIGC, and that is what they're looking for because that time would unlock it. But there's like 9 points they blew away in their appeal. Like there's so much to this, but again, you would just expect Chine and FIGC to play games based on the fact of how hard they were fighting to release any documents. So the fact that Juve's asking for more, some people are scared, thinking, oh man, they didn't actually get anything that helps them and now they need more. But I see it differently, and I think that potentially there's some games being played by the prosecution. So
I think that there's one obvious thing here out of all that. FIGC want to hurt Juve. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. Them wanting to avoid giving Juve the paper and then going to the state council to try and turn the verdict. I mean, it can be more blatant than that they have something against Juve. What more do they need to do?
Yeah. Inter losing to Spezia, that was beautiful.
That's also a good point. I mean, it's Sampdoria, they're last place, but that's a must-win game because Roma might drop points to Sassuolo, Inter dropped points, Milan plays Salernitana, so they probably won't. Lazio dropped points. I mean,
Atalanta,
if we win and we get the points back, we're 3 points clear in second place. That's an important win today.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. This is I got into this discussion. I had a live, an impromptu live yesterday on TikTok and whatnot. And this came up and I said, hey, if Barcelona was paying the refs, we're going to celebrate a Champions League title for back in 2015 there?
Yes, Georg Zemit, a good friend of the pod, told me that no, because we're not Inter. and I kind of agree with it. I mean, I don't want to celebrate the Champions League 7 years later, but
it would make sense why Pogba didn't get that PK call, though. Would make sense. That was awful. Dani Alves, Jesus. Usually,
I just want to see
like you have the decency to take him
hand it to Juve. UEFA having to give a Champions League to Juve. I mean, that's what I want to see. That's why I don't care.
Would be epic. Now, I don't even know if, and I don't really care because Barcelona or whatnot, but I don't know if European play was involved in that. It could have just been league. Like, I don't know the details, and I didn't get involved too much because, again, I don't care about Barcelona.
Leave it.
Now,
Not relevant to us.
we're going to get into the predictions. Everybody knows the drill here. I'm going to remind everybody while you're here, like the video. Okay, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. It all helps. And I'm going to remind everybody I'm doing a watch along for this game today, okay? So 12:30 my time, 3:30 Eastern time. I will be here getting everybody geared up and ready for the action. Then, of course, I'll call the action. So key stats going into this one, of course, avoiding defeat on the night. We'll see Sampdoria go unbeaten for the first time against Juventus over the course of a season since 2012-13. That won't happen. A win for Juve. We'll see them get 8 straight against Sampdoria for the first time since 1947 to 1953. A loss would be the third time in his second term that Massimiliano Allegri has got consecutive losses in Serie A. Samp only scoring 11 goals. That's worst in all top 5 leagues. Juve have not gone 2 straight games without scoring since 2012. With those key stats, let's get to the predictions. Final score and 2 tiebreakers. Lucci, why don't you kick us off?
Oh, okay. So I said it earlier. I'm going to stick with my 2-0 win. I do think it's going to be tight. It'll be a late second goal. Goal scorers will be Vlahovic. He's finally gonna kick one today. And who else is gonna score? And Fagioli.
Oh, calling up Fagioli goal. Nice.
Yeah, and I do think Samp will pick up the first card in the 34th minute.
Okay. Omer?
I think we're rolling today. I think we're having like a 4-0 win.
4-0.
Wow.
4-0, yeah.
I struggled to find 2 goal scorers. How are you going to find 4?
Oh, Vlahovic scores 4. No, let's go with Vlahovic. Vlahovic with 1. I think Miretti gets 1 today. I think that might be the day.
I like that.
I think Kostic gets 1. I'm guessing. I don't think anything. And screw you, Luca. And let's go with Rabiot.
Solid prediction there.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one said a Bonucci banger or something.
I was going to say it, but
I'm waiting for some to see what some of these live chats are going. Luca's going 1-0, calling Sule. We got Remo coming in here 3-0. Sule, Vlahovic, and Rabiot. There you go. We've got Aldo with the 2-0. Vlahovic on a PK Minetti tap in. Dell's with the 1-1 bottle job. Come on.
That sounds like an Anthony comment.
The bourbon must not be good today. The bourbon must not be good here.
And won the shit last year.
So 3-0 Juve, Dusan, Fagioli, and Dusan. So Fagioli goal in between the Dusan brace. 55 possessions for yellow cards. Juve to start with the ball. Michael always throws in a prop bet there. I like it. I'm going 3-0 Juve. So I think it's going to be 3-0. I would hope we can keep a clean sheet against the worst scoring side in all top 5 leagues. So I'm going to say that 3-0. And I'm going to say I'm not going to go exact goal scorers, but I'm going to say that we get a goal from strikers. So that would mean Vlahovic scores. I'm going to say we get a goal from all phases. So that means a defender scores, a midfielder scores, and our forward scores. So I will say that. All 3 phases score. And then prop bet, another one.
Get your Storm the Barn questions here. We don't have many.
Yeah, everybody get your Storm the Barn questions in here. While we wait, one last one, eh? Over 6 yellows in this game.
Ooh.
By the way, Johnny Sins played in the defense.
Over 6 yellows in this one. Okay.
If you know, you know.
Jesus, Omer.
Dobby 2-0
Just
Kostic and
look at the
Quadrado.
difference.
Miracles can happen. There you go. There you go. All right, everybody. Storm the Barn questions. I'm going to first open it up to Omer and Lucci. We got a little bit of time for some Storm the Barn. So do you guys have anything we did not address that you want to talk about or any questions you got?
I had a good question and I don't remember it. So wait, Lucci, go ahead if you have something in mind.
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
Okay, we can kick things off on Lucas right now. And Lucas is essentially with Enzo looking to start. What does Paredes even bring to this team? I think it's just honestly, I think it's just failed miserably. I think there was intentions there to probably be obviously a rotational piece for Locatelli. Some were saying he was brought in to start ahead of Locatelli.
Yeah.
But also probably helping groom these guys. It's an interesting correlation that people have made there, though. And I did get, I believe somebody had fired me this message and said, I just realized this at the time. I'm going to try to look it up here and see. But the correlation of the Argentinian players, like Di Maria coming in and potentially helping Sule along, and then Paredes potentially helping Barnechea himself out and everything like that. And it was an interesting way to look at things, right? With those particular players. But for me, with him, like you've got Di Maria, Paredes being best friends. Sule and Barnechea are best friends. All four of them from Argentina. Now they're all obviously with Juventus. Barnechea is a defensive mid like Paredes. Paredes was influenced by Di Maria to join Juve. In turn, like they're getting this idea of them kind of helping these young guys along and mentoring them with Argentinians. It's an idea. It's a thought for sure. But for me, it just doesn't amount to much when Paredes looks uninspired, if I'm being honest. It doesn't really amount to much.
It doesn't even look like he cares that he doesn't play.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't seem to care too much at all. Just sitting there, getting his paycheck, going back to Paris.
I mean, when you make an error and you lose the ball, it's like, get the damn thing back. He just trots along like nothing's a problem.
The one thing I'll remember him is I think it was against Torino, where he and was it Kostic or Sandro ran into each other and he just kind of stood there and the other team went down the other way and had an opportunity. Like that's all I'm going to remember him by because he's done absolutely nothing positive.
No, he had one moment
when he kicked Tonali.
No, that he crossed the ball to Chiesa.
Yes, okay.
Danilo. That's the only thing he did all season.
I forgot about that because all I remember are negative things about this guy.
That was the only good thing. The only good thing. He had a nice assist there. Yeah.
He had the luckiest career a football player can have because he's been the worst midfielder in every team he played, but he somehow got to play with Verratti and Nainggolan and Pjanic at Roma. I mean, it's kind of a miracle how he got to where he is.
There are some guys that are like that just,
piggybacking.
Don't see it and they get by and they get careers. It's not he's a bad player. I mean, he can be a very, very good player, but for us, it just doesn't look like he cares to be.
True.
No, he's also enjoyed playing for Argentina with Messi. I mean, he's got the luck of playing.
And I mean, he started for Argentina and then got benched immediately after the one start and was making 10 to 15 minute cameos. That was it.
And blasting the Netherlands bench.
That was actually a sweet move. So
I hated it.
Now
that was the first time I was.
Where are our midfield goals going to come from in the future? This one coming in from Aldo. Where are the midfield goals going to come from?
Is Pogba going to play?
He'll get some if he plays. Fagioli should be getting more.
I was going to say that as well.
Yeah. We should get Fagioli more involved. I think he's got goals in him.
Those would be my two answers. Yeah, Locatelli maybe throws in the odd one here and there. I could see that.
Locatelli's starting to get higher up the pitch. You're starting to see him more involved in and around the area. He had a good chance against Freiburg as well. Got his shot all wrong and whatnot, but he's ripping them now from everywhere. Like he's taking shots, which is good. I want to see him do that. I think it's only a matter of time. He starts starts finding back in net. But our guys in general need to start finding the back of the net. All these guys. You're playing Freiburg like that. Like I said, we should have gone into this week's match with Freiburg needing a miracle to get back into this one when you play them and they have one attempt all game, other than the goal that was called back, rightfully so, by the way. But other than that, one attempt, we have 20 with 12 inside the area, and we only come out with one goal. That's just not good enough. So I don't know who it's going to be. I would bank on Fagioli getting more contributions as he continues to grow with us. But yeah, it's I got to start seeing it.
I mean, we've been starved for a long time because we got used to midfielders scoring tons of goals. When you look back, even Khedira scored relatively a lot of goals.
True.
We probably won't get someone like Vidal. Vidal was lights out when it comes to taking chances and getting into the area, long shots everywhere. This guy was scoring left, right, and center. And Pirlo had his contributions from set pieces mainly and long shots, and suddenly it all stopped. No Bentancur, no Rabiot goals, no who was it? I can't even remember who played for us in these years. But we've been starved from the midfield for a long time. Yeah. Rabiot is our top scorer right now, but since he's leaving, we need to get someone who can score.
Lou's hoping he doesn't score anymore this year. We know that.
Oh man, I think Jeremiah's gonna get that jersey for sure. I think he's gonna get, and he's probably not here today because of our time change and us kicking things off earlier. But it's all good. It's all good. I'm sure I'll check it out on the playback with Di Maria being Dybala's short-term replacement. Who should Juve buy for the long term?
Oof, that's a good one.
Well, this is interesting because, I mean, honestly, if we get Sule more minutes and he could potentially grow and be a piece that's there, Illing Jr. could play as a winger.
He's more of a winger, too.
He is a winger. So it's like, we've got options there and whatnot, and it really just changes from mercado to mercado based on what your priorities are. Mm-hmm. Right now, if Di Maria stays, the priority becomes to continue to grow these guys behind, like Sule, Illing Jr. and whatnot. And right now, fullback is the highest priority for Juventus and a mainstay center back partner for Bremer.
We also need
those
wingers.
Two are crucial for this Juventus side. I was having some fun with this on TikTok yesterday, and people were saying, what would you do if I, in a perfect world for me, I would love to see Singo come in and get Grimaldo on a free. If you could make that swing and say, okay, you're going to get a free agent that, is going to cost a bit, even though he's free and whatnot, but you get Grimaldo and you can make a move for Singo, that would be huge. For
what
this
do you do with Kostic,
Cambiasso comes back, he can play in behind. You're stuck with Sandro, and Juve's trying to lessen the blow on a 2-year to make it less of a salary hit than his automatic renewal. So that sucks. De Sciglio, we extended year ago. So you're stuck with that. That kind of hurts. Those moves kind of hurt, right? As far as their roster spots, unless you just say, okay, we're going to bite the bullet. We're pay these guys, but we're going to see you out, which I mean, they could do, but I doubt they're going to actually do it, right?
So, but if you bring in Cambiasso, Singo, and Grimaldo, that leaves Kostic as an odd man out.
Well, that's why I'm saying you can't really do this. You can't really do this. But if you're bringing those guys in, Kostic becomes like a left winger too.
Off the bench.
Yeah. But he becomes a winger.
It's a good option to have. Don't get me wrong. Yeah.
Some still say Kostic potentially a left back. Maybe he's our left back for next season.
I doubt it, but maybe.
I mean, they should have they should already be trying that if that's what they want to do.
But the games are pretty crucial right now.
Yeah,
and the 3-5-2 has brought out the best. So why do it now? Why not get a base training camp in and try them out there and then see, right?
Fair.
I think we can't assume anything until we know who the manager is next season.
Mm-hmm.
But to get back to the question, I mean, we don't have the luxury to buy a top tier winger
Yeah.
right? So we have, and even if it's not a top tier, if it's a promising talent, we can compete with the money other
Mm-hmm.
teams will offer. So we have to take someone either from our squad or someone unknown or someone who's on the downward spiral.
Ooh.
Those are our options that we can realistically afford.
Would you take Zaniolo?
Yes, I would take them as an euro.
I would too.
I
Yeah,
would
after
too.
everything I said, I mean, there's not too many options. I would maybe try to go for Ansu Fati from Barcelona and try to revive his
Interesting.
career. I
I
know
would
he's been injured.
actually like that, to be honest, and get behind that.
That would be an
Yeah,
interesting one.
I
yeah, because
wish, like a man. I know it's the teams that are going to go in on this guy, but he could play anywhere across the front, man. Marcus Thuram would be fuck. I would
Yes.
love
yeah,
Marcus Thuram to come to Juve. He's the name, like for me, man. If we were there and we were set and we had some more leverage to rock with those clubs, he'd be a sweet one to bring in. But it is what it
I'm
is. Let's see.
I'm concerned we're going to be stuck with Artur and Zakaria, and no one's going to pay for these guys. And then,
I would take Artur before Paredes any day of the week,
ooh,
but he shouldn't stay around anyways. Neither one of them should. But
is there an
to be
option for
honest, I
neither?
would choose Art. That's how bad Paredes has been for me, in my opinion.
Jesus. God, I don't even want to think about that, man.
recycling.
Lucci just lose. I'm just saying that's how bad. I don't want it to happen.
You're not wrong. That's
I don't
the
want
funny
any
thing.
of them around. But my unpopular opinion, though, is that I might keep Zakaria around for Rabiot leaving, right? But a lot of people don't agree with me.
I'd
That's
keep
cool.
Zakaria over McKennie.
So, oh yeah. Storm the Barn, I've been an avid defender of Vlahovic, but he has put real doubt in me that he can play under Allegri. Do we move him if Allegri stays even at 80 million euros? I don't like the 80 million euro price tag, and that's based on the market. We can't let the Premier League saturate and buy these players at crazy deals and then take hits on our own when we do move. So they're setting the precedent of what players need to go for. So at 80 million euros, I'll tell you right now, I don't think Juve shouldn't even acknowledge that. Okay. 100 million minimum. 100 million minimum. And then we can talk. But if I'm being honest about the whole Vlahovic thing, and if Allegri stays, Allegri needs the guys that aren't your classic nine. So I find it funny that, we go all out for this guy and it's supposed to be the difference for Max, and Max was in on it. Max had say in transfers and everything, but he doesn't know how to utilize them or get them integrated as much. The guys that historically for Max, offensive players' numbers are not their strongest under Max. And if you look at our forwards this season, this is just me spitballing my opinion, everybody, too. So I'm not just saying like it's facts, this is how it is. But for me, I see guys not doing their best and being their most potent attacking selves under Max. And I also look at true nines. And for me, Max needs the guys like Milik that are involved in buildup and involved in link up. It's no surprise. And it is a surprise in the sense we didn't think Milik would have such an effect, but it's not a surprise in terms of playing style. Who out of our three forwards does the best when he's in there? And it's our case, Milik, because he can get involved and he's better technically than Keane and Vlahovic. For me, if Max stays, I will always say that Vlahovic will not hit the heights he has to. And that's not saying that it's all on Max, because I don't believe that to be true. I just don't think it's going to work and be I just don't think it's going to be a good fit. That's all. But Vlahovic has left a lot on the plate for himself too, individually. I have to stress that. I can't stress that enough, that him not firing right now is not just a Max problem. It's a Dusan problem too. But that's how I feel. What do you guys think?
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's unfortunate because we know Dusan has the capabilities, the talent, but the way we set up, I just don't think. Although it's beneficial for the overall team that we're fielding. I don't think it's beneficial for Dusan or Chiesa. Chiesa was, even before he got injured, he was struggling under Max, and now we see it with Dusan this year. Maybe he needs a new season, like a preseason to kind of get back on track and get his morale and chemistry up. I don't know, but it's frustrating because you spent a lot of money on this guy and you're kind of expecting more. So
yeah,
I hope it turns around. That's all I can really say at this point.
Today.
Yes, today. Maybe he needs a goal and that'll just give him a morale boost kind of thing. So we'll see.
Today's a day to take advantage. Omer, what do you think about that? This question and your thoughts?
Okay, so I'll make a few points. I'm not giving up on him yet. I want him to stay another season.
Yeah.
And we got to remember that there are a few major clubs in Europe that are missing a striker right now. And if we are going to sell him, let's go for a bidding war. Real Madrid are missing a striker. Chelsea are missing a striker. Man United, Bayern Munich. I mean, get all those guys to start firing up prices. And if we are going to sell him, then I'll ask a different question. Are you okay with going into next season with Milik and Keane as our strikers? That's a tough question, for me at least. Now, in terms of how he performs, I mean, when you look at his Fiorentina days, he's not Milik. He's not back-to-goal type of striker. Or almost all his goal come from him facing the goal, running forward. And even against Freiburg, when he suddenly had a bit of room to run forward, he drew the foul, but he suddenly was a problem. He's a striker that needs to play with his face to goal, and maybe Allegri needs to make that adjustment because he's just terrible with his back to goal. But
will he ever make that adjustment? I don't know.
No, I'm not banking on it, and neither will Dusan.
Man,
but I would like to keep him, and I wouldn't like to sell him even for 100 million.
Ricardo throwing out Awar. Remember the Awar links and whatnot, but man, he was hot at the time, and now not so much in terms of performances. But he is a free agent, I believe, this season.
But he's more of a midfielder, is he not?
Yeah, he's like an.
I think we got enough of those. Let's focus on other positions.
So we kind of got into the first one already, but let's get into Richarlison on Anthony Gimboli's here. Obviously, Richarlison rumors we're not going to buy into or anything like that. However, I'm just asking you guys your thoughts on Richarlison if it were an option and how you would feel about it.
No, I'm in the minority here. I kind of like Richarlison.
I don't.
I like the way he plays. And again, he's not like a Vlahovic type of player. He can move. He can, build up. He can be involved in the build up. He can play more off the wing a bit if we need. Obviously, do I think he's the answer? Probably not. But it would be a decent. I think it would be a good option.
I don't like it. I don't like him and the way he approaches games and the way he talks backstage. I mean, just no for me.
I mean, I would be pissed off if Conte did that to me too. You have him in training in the starting 11, and then out of nowhere you get benched. I'd be pretty pissed. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, he was also injured a lot, and he has 0 goals this season for Tottenham, and he's a striker. I mean.
Well, how much he's been hurt? He hasn't played. So, we could say the same thing for Dusan. Really?
But Dusan has 10 goals or something like that. I mean...
When's the last time he scored?
Not long ago. Today is the last time.
But Richarlison, man. So here's my take on this. We loved Antonio Conte for what he did to the team and how he affected players and whatnot. And you saw response from players and everything. If there is a lack of a response from a player to Antonio Conte and there's issues there from Conte, I probably raise more questions based on the track record of that player than I do Antonio Conte. So for me, it's a big red flag if for whatever reason Conte, is calling this guy out or wanting more or whatever, and this guy can't bring it. for me, it's more of a sign to stay away. That's how I look at it.
And I wouldn't even take his Brazil form because, playing with Neymar and Vini Jr.
Oh,
and
man,
those
I'd be
guys.
scoring goals at the World Cup if you put me at the front of that Brazil line. Come on. Come on now.
I have a question for you, Storm the Barn question. But maybe after Anthony. Go with Anthony first.
Anthony?
Anthony Trimboli, the guy who...
We just did.
We just talked about that.
Oh, that was the one we just did. Okay. So when I'm looking at the team this season, our best performers, maybe Danilo aside, are all new signings. I mean, it's Kostic, it's Di Maria, new faces. It's Fagioli, guys who weren't here last season. What do you make of that? What does that signal to you? Bremer, add him to that.
I mean, it's not that shocking considering who we had on this team last year and who was left. Like, did we really think Alexandro or Cuadrado were going to be game changers at this stage in their career? I doubt it. Did we expect Dusan to be a bigger influence? True, yes. But like when you bring in someone like Di Maria and his resume and all the trophies he's won, what he's been able to accomplish, it's not that surprising that he's been able to step up. Yes, he started slow. He had a couple injuries. But I think, and I said this before, I think winning the World Cup with Argentina really gave him that passion or the desire to keep playing and to show everyone that he can still, hold his own and do his thing. So I think Juve has really benefited from that, since after the World Cup. So
because we don't have it text in here, Omer, repeat the question one more time, please, just so everybody gets it here.
So our best players this season have been all new faces that went to the club last season. What do you make of that?
So, man, all new faces being our best players.
And Anthony Sandro wasn't one of our best players. He's just been better than what we've come to expect from him. I don't take that.
I think the makeup of the team changes year to year. So it's like you're adding new players. It's going to change. Our setup has changed drastically from what we wanted to do at the start of the year till now. That has also had an impact on Vlahovic, and Vlahovic has not been firing. And again, that's a constant argument. Is it the tactics? Is it the play? Is it the service? Is it Dusan? There's a lot of things at play, but the guys that we have added are good players.
Mm-hmm.
They should be some of these key guys. So I don't think it's necessarily anything out of the norm or anything to really make out of it other than like Di Maria is a world-class player. Period. Big games, Di Maria, he's always there. Mm-hmm. He's that guy. So I expect him to be one of our best players. Bremer was brought in to replace De Ligt at a moment when De Ligt could have been the guy for Juve. He moves away. Bremer came in as Serie A Defender of the Year. I would expect him to be one of our best players. Kostic comes in with a pedigree of being a contributor, constant contributor in European play, even for Frankfurt and whatnot, and being this assist machine. It is translated. I don't really make a whole bunch out of it because the makeup of the teams change from year to year, and the guys we brought in are doing exactly what we brought them in for. So I don't necessarily, I'm not looking too much further beyond that. But Omer, what are your thoughts?
I don't know what to make of that too much. Maybe we just, overhyped some of our players. Maybe Max just does better with older players. And maybe their stats are not just, from other teams. I mean, there's a reason they're that good. And, well, it's not all of them. I mean, we can give credit to Rabiot this season or to Lucatelli this season.
I was going to say that
not
too.
New faces. And I didn't say all of our new signing. I said
because Danilo was good last year. He's strong this year. Locatelli was strong last year. He's strong this year. People call him a flop. I don't see it. He's the glue for me in our midfield. So it's like these guys were good, and they're continuing on.
Yeah, they were. I actually don't know what to make of that. I'm still working my way through it.
Yeah, it's a solid question. People might be looking into a little more right now. For me, I just think that the guys that we brought in are doing what they need to.
And I think they're just upgrades on what we had. So you kind of expected them to be better than what we were looking at last year. Like if you see Sandro in Kostic's position, we wouldn't be saying Sandro's had a good year. If who knows if we kept Dybala instead of Di Maria, if we made it even past Nantes. Like you don't know. You just kind of expected these guys to be an improvement on what we had last year. And so far, in most cases, I won't say all cases, it's turned out to be true.
Okay, so I'll change the question a bit. Did any of those guys exceed your expectations, or was that what you're expecting from them?
Milik exceeded my expectations because I didn't think he would push the needle so far like he did. I'm at the point I can't wait for him to get back in the lineup.
To be honest, I knew Di Maria was a great player. Seeing him at the beginning of the year, I was concerned that was going to be a waste, but he's really had a completely different second half of the year, and he's really exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, I think really Max really got what he was looking for in Milik, maybe even more than what he expected. Maybe a bit similar to Mandzukic in the way he plays and the types of goals he scores.
Yeah,
and Max does well with those kinds of players. So,
and to be fair, I think Fagioli deserves a lot more credit than we're giving him to. Like I didn't expect him to come in this year after a loan and have such a big influence, starting or even off the bench. He's thrown in a couple goals. He's always been involved, trying to create. So
listen, he didn't surprise me as much because I don't know.
I wasn't expecting. I kind of thought he was going to be, maybe take a year to make the adjustment to a bigger team. A lot of pressure, a young player, maybe not getting a lot of minutes because we expected Pogba to be there. But no, I've been very happy with him as well. So
maybe we need just to reconsider the way we approach the transfer market. I mean, because Bremer won Serie A Defender of the Year. Fagioli was the best midfielder in Serie B. He won that award. Kostic he was second only to Messi and De Bruyne in chance creation all across Europe. So the stat Di Maria is Di Maria. I mean, nothing else to add. So the stats are there. Even Milik had a good season in France before he joined. And although I was one of the guys who didn't want him, and I took a massive L here, and I'm happy about it.
I think I'm
happy about it. I mean, more of that, please. Players I don't like who exceed expectations and are good for Juve. More of that, please. I would like to be wrong more and more.
Dell's saying Milik for sure. I thought he was a bum signing initially, to be honest. Dominique saying right here, we were all kind of concerned, and this is valid. At the beginning of the season, it was like, potentially Di Maria as well. We thought would use us to get in shape for the World Cup, but totally wrong. He cares about the club. He's happy there. His family is happy there, and this is playing into us potentially re-signing him, and even him speaking, saying that, hey, there's no rush. We can talk about this at season's end if we need to and stuff. So that's great stuff there. Speaking of Milik, when is he back? Apparently the rumors are that he is fighting to get back for the Derby, March 19th. Okay, so if he can get back in and show some minutes, that one would be great stuff. The sooner the better, because he has had an impact.
No, but that was more of a hopeful report than actual reality. The more realistic report was after the break. I think it's April 1st. April Fools.
That was the initial report, but
no, it came out afterwards.
Milik, trying to get back for the Derby was the latest one. That's the latest one. The first one was that it's after international break, but Max hasn't spoke on it yet. I always say, listen to Max when it comes to the injury stuff, and he didn't actually shine too much of a light on it on the presser. But we're gonna get two more in real quick. So Adam's asking, do you think Weghorst would do well with us? I feel like he's the type of player Allegri likes, and he will get the best out of him. I'm not gonna lie, I've not seen enough to make a valid statement on this and what I think of him. But Omer, maybe you, Lucci.
I think he will. I mean, those type of strikers do well in Italy.
True.
Yeah, so might be, but if it does end up at Juve, don't come running back at me and say, "Oh, you said he was going to do well." I have no idea. I'm assuming.
I know I'm pretty sure he's a little older now at this stage in his career. Like, can he move? He's like 7 feet tall.
Yeah, the guy's massive.
I
But
don't know about that.
a lot of our goals are from set pieces anyway, so maybe a guy like that would be better for us.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
Maybe.
last one from Dels Jorge Andrade had his contract rescinded due to injuries. Does Pogba risk the same? Obviously, contracts legally binding. I don't know if there's any protection in there. Yeah, that's a tough one. Nobody's really gonna know unless they're in there. You would have to think that it has to get to a serious point here. But there's a lot to factor in, like him opting out of the surgery initially, going against Juve's medical staff's recommendations and whatnot. Not that I necessarily blame them based on our track record, but there's a lot to play in here. I don't think we're gonna know anytime soon either, but you gotta get the feeling that if this keeps up, Juve's gonna maybe put some pressure on. What do you even do if a guy's hurt? How do you put pressure on him? Whatnot? You'd have to think that Juve's potentially looking at the option of cutting it out potentially, unless they are just kind of fine, maybe sitting this one out for this year and then seeing it getting back. But a muscular one, right, when you're back about to get into playing minutes and stuff like that, like that's a killer, man. That's a killer.
You okay, Al? You gonna be all right, bud?
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
fine, but it sucks. I just don't think they can necessarily rescind it, man.
No,
I don't
I
know if they put any kind of stipulations in there to protect themselves.
Yeah.
I mean,
I also don't think that Andrade's contract was to the point of Pogba's, and I think it was a lot easier to rescind based on term and everything with it. Like, I don't think it's anywhere near the circumstances. Keep in mind, Pogba is a Raiola agency client. I would definitely not think that there's a potential for that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Andrade is a bit of an extreme case because first of all, Juve was his last destination. He retired afterwards.
Yeah.
He was injured very early into the season. He broke his left kneecap, so he missed the entire first season. Then in the second season, he had 4 more surgeries to his knee in 3 years, and after that, he was done. So that's an extreme case. I mean, Pogba is not there yet. Pogba is, he's far off. I mean, he had a small surgery, not a massive one, recently. Not like an ACL injury. So it will be very hard to break that contract. It has to come from Pogba as well. Andrade retired afterwards.
Yeah. We'll have to see. The muscular injury count was still pretty high this year up until just before World Cup break and stuff, where it started dying down and whatnot. This is probably the first one in quite some time. So again, we'll see. We could probably review Giovanni Andreni's work at season's end, but we'll see what happens. Everybody, we're going to wrap up there. Great pregame show, live chat. You guys are beauties as always. AJC Army, keep in mind, I'm going to bring you the live watch along. Omer, Lucci, thank you as always. Everybody get ready for those victories. Okay, we are back tomorrow morning, also live 8:30 a.m. Eastern time for the post-match podcast. And we all anticipate we should have a victory to talk about. Let's see if the guys can get it done today, okay? As always, fino alla fine, forza Juve. I'll see you in a couple hours as we get ready for the game, all right? Ciao tutti.
Yeah.